What's up, people? This is Roger. Thanks for tuning in to Roger Sports Talk. I want to talk about this upcoming baseball season. It's certainly going to be an exciting year. There was a lot of moves that were made over the off season, such as like Bryce Harper going to the Phillies, Patrick Corbin going to the Nationals, and a bunch more. James Paxton going to the New York Yankees. It's gonna be a wild season. Of course, you probably already know, but I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, and I'm hoping with the additions of Josh Donaldson and the addition of Brian McCann will be enough for our offense. But it looks like we're definitely relying off of a very young pitching rotation and a very young bullpen to help us to try to get us some wins this year. So what I want to do right now is look at Thursday's game, March 28th of 2019, and I just want to look at the pitching matchups and the team matchups to give you my opinion of who's going to win and who's going to go home the loser. All right, so first up we have at 2:05 p.m. we got my team Atlanta versus the Philadelphia Phillies. The pitching matchup is Julio Teheran versus Aaron Nola. Now, it's going to be a difficult task for the Braves. Teheran's a decent pitcher, but he's certainly not who would be expected from the beginning of spring training to be starting game one. Of course, that would have been Mike Foltynewicz, but with shoulder or elbow problems right now, he's sidelined until at least the middle of April. So my pick for this one, I'm a fan, but I'm hoping the Braves can come out of it. Brian Snicker's just going to have to be very smart, and limit the runs given up from Julio Teheran, and hopefully the bullpen can pick them up and keep them limited. But I'm going to have to go with the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies on this one. Aaron Nola is a great pitcher. Only if Gabe Kapler uses him properly this year. If you remember last year, he took him out way too early, and the bullpen just collapsed. Phillies has improved with their bullpen too, adding David Robertson, so their bullpen has definitely gotten better. So I gotta go with the Phillies this one, but I'm hoping the Braves will win. The next one, we got Jacob deGrom versus Max Scherzer, Mets and Nationals. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Definitely two of the best pitchers in baseball going at it. I'm not sure of this one. I mean, the Mets have improved with their hitting, and they actually have a decent bullpen now, adding Edwin Diaz and bringing back Familia. So that's a big plus to their bullpen. But Scherzer is just nasty, but so is deGrom. But if you watch Scherzer a little bit last year, he has had his fair share of bad games. Not saying he had a terrible year, not even a bad year. He had a great year. But I'm going to have to go with the Mets on this one. Jacob deGrom has pitched very good through spring training. Ended it last year on a very high note. I'm going to have to go with the Mets on this one. All right, the next matchup we have is the Baltimore Orioles versus the New York Yankees. Pitching matchup, Alex Cobb versus Masahiro Tanaka. This is pretty much a no-brainer. The Yankees, hands down. The Baltimore Orioles are kind of like in a rebuilding, unloading stage. And Alex Cobb definitely seen better days. So I'm going to have to go with the Yankees on this one. Next, we have the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Milwaukee Brewers. Miles Mikolas, I believe I'm saying his name right, versus Julius Shaquin. This is going to be a very close game. Milwaukee has a very, very good hitting squad, and they have a very, very good bullpen, probably the best bullpen in baseball. But St. Louis has improved in that regard too, adding guys like Paul Goldschmidt. This is going to be a very, very good game, very, very competitive, very offensive, I think. Not much of a way of starting pitcher by all means by both teams. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to go with Milwaukee in this game. Next, we got Detroit versus the Toronto Blue Jays. As you can see right there, Detroit hasn't really released who they're going to be starting opening day for the Detroit Tigers, but they're going to have to go up against Marcus Stroman. Now, we know Marcus Stroman is a beast, and he's just a great pitcher. But I've seen Detroit in the spring training. I know it's just spring training, but they're in an unloading and rebuilding stage. Toronto has some talent on there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., absolutely fantastic, just like his daddy. I'm going to have to go with Toronto on this one. All right, next we got Houston at Tampa Bay. Justin Verlander versus Blake Snell. It's going to be a good pitching matchup. Blake Snell's really good. Justin Verlander, another year older, but I expect him to be the same great pitcher as always. But Houston's, with the addition of Michael Brantley and, having Altuve and Springer, Correa healthy, I'm going to have to go with Houston on this one. All right, next we got the Cubs and Texas Rangers. We got John Lester versus Mike Minor. Cubs, I'm going to have to go with the Cubs. John Lester, I think he'll have a bounce-back year. Cubs hitting is just really good. I just feel like they're better than Texas. Texas is kind of like trying to figure things out right now, possibly in a rebuilding. Next, we got the Angels versus the Athletics. So it's Trevor Cahill going for the Angels. Oakland's still determining who's going to get the ball, but this is going to be a close one. I feel that Oakland has a really, really good team, and their hitting is young, but they still got some valuable hitters on that team. But I think it's going to be a very offensive game. I don't see it's going to be a pitching duel whatsoever. But if I had to choose, I'll pick the Angels in this game. Next, you got the Pirates versus the Reds. Jason Talion versus Luis Castillo. Both of them, has improved over the offseason. Pirates adding Chris Archer. Cincinnati adding guys like Yasiel Puig and some other players. Matt Kemp in the outfield. If I had to pick one, though, I'm going to go with Cincinnati on this one. Luis Castillo is a really, really good pitcher. All right, we got Cleveland versus the Twins. Corey Kluber versus Jason Berrios, I believe his name. I feel like Kluber's going to start the year off really, really good. Great pitcher ever since, he's been in the World Series. Always a reliable, good pitcher. Cleveland, has that really good rotation, and they have that really good hitting. I'm going to have to go with Cleveland on this one. All right, next we got the San Francisco Giants versus the San Diego Padres. Both teams are still determining who's going to be pitching. But Manny Machado, baby, he went to the San Diego Padres. Him and Eric Hosmer, I feel like they're going to be tearing it up. I feel like Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, and the Padres will be victorious over the Giants tonight. All right, Colorado Rockies versus the Miami Marlins. Colorado not yet decided who's going to get the ball versus Jose Urena. Now, this is a pretty much hands down no-brainer. Colorado Rockies. Miami's in a rebuilding stage, and looks like a minor league team compared to the Rockies. Rockies are a monster of a team. Next is Arizona versus the Dodgers. It's going to be a really, really good pitching duel. Zach Greinke versus Hyun-Jin Ryu. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right. It's going to be interesting to see what the Dodgers can do offensively, since unloading some of their players, letting go Manny Machado, Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig. They didn't really do too much over the offseason. Arizona losing Paul Goldschmidt. Let's see how that team fares without him. If I had to pick a team, though, I'd probably have to go with the Dodgers, just because no, I can't bet against Greinke. I'm going to go with Arizona on this one. I think Arizona and Zach Greinke's will have a good game and will win this first one to go 1-0. Or the White Sox versus Kansas City. Carlos Rondon versus Brad Keller, I believe his name is. White Sox added a few pieces, but Kansas City really didn't do much. These teams are pretty well even. If I had to pick one, though, I'll have to go and pick the White Sox over Kansas City. All right, last but not least, we got Boston Red Sox versus the Seattle Mariners. So, Chris Sale, of course, is going to get the ball for Boston. He just signed a huge extension, and, he's excited to take the ball. And Seattle, I don't know if he's going to give the ball to Felix Hernandez or whatnot. They're still determining who's going to get the ball on opening day. But, of course, I'm going to have to go with Boston. I think Boston has a really, really good lineup. Pitching rotation's really good. Bullpen's really good. World Series champs, so I'll take that one. Well, that's it for Thursday schedule for baseball. I hope you liked my show, and stay tuned for another edition. Thank you. Have a good day.